maatraa sparashastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadah aagama-apaayinah nityastam titikshasva bharata.
Today we sit with one of the most practical verses in the entire Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 14. Listen to its sound first. Maatraa sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadah aagama-apaayinah anityas tans titikshasva bharata. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna has collapsed. He is not afraid of swords. He is afraid of grief, of the pain that this war will bring. And Krishna has just told him something enormous, that the self is eternal, that bodies pass the way childhood passes into youth and youth into old age. But Krishna knows what Arjuna is thinking. Fine, the soul may be eternal, but this pain in my chest right now is real. And so, in this verse, Krishna comes down from metaphysics into psychology, into the texture of everyday experience. He says, Matra sparshaha. The word matra comes from the root ma, which means to measure. The senses are called matra because they measure out the world for us. We never touch reality directly. We receive measurements, readings, samples. And sparsha comes from the root sprish, to touch. So all experience, Krishna says, is contact. Cold is not sitting inside the water and it is not sitting inside you. It flares up at the meeting point between your skin and the water. It is born at an interface. And then he names the pairs. Shita and Ushna, cold and heat. Sukha and Dukkha, pleasure and pain. The word Dukkha is beautiful here. It originally described a wheel with a badly fitted axle hole. A wheel that turns off center and grinds with every rotation. Sukha is the opposite, the wheel that runs true and smooth. And notice, Krishna deliberately gives them to us in pairs, because they are pairs. You cannot subscribe to pleasure and unsubscribe from pain. They are one oscillating system, like the two ends of a swing. To chase one is to sign the contract for the other. Then comes the diagnosis, and it is only two words. Agama-apaayinah, having arrival, having departure. Every experience born of contact carries a built-in entrance and a built-in exit. Anityah, impermanent, not eternal. Krishna is offering Arjuna a compressed piece of logic. Whatever arises from contact must arrive and depart. Whatever arrives and departs cannot be permanent. And it is simply irrational to hand permanent authority over your inner life to something that is structurally temporary. And then the instruction, the single command of this verse. Tans titikshasva, endure them, bear them. But this word titiksha is not what we usually mean by endurance. It comes from the root tej, which means to sharpen. Titiksha literally means the desire to be sharpened. So this is not gritting your teeth, not going numb, not suffering silently like a victim. It is choosing to let experience whet you, the way a blade is whetted against a stone. The great teacher Shankara defined titiksha precisely. He said, it is the bearing of afflictions without three things. Without frantic struggling to fix, without brooding, and without complaint. Take those three away, and what remains is a clear, quiet steadiness. A person standing on the platform while the trains of experience arrive and depart, no longer compelled to board every single one. And notice how tenderly the verse is framed. Krishna begins by calling Arjuna Kaunteya, son of Kunti, his mother, a woman whose whole life was endured hardship, and he ends by calling him Bharata, descendant of the royal line of Bharata, his father's side. Softness at the opening, strength at the close. Understand with compassion, then stand up with courage. This wisdom echoes everywhere humans have looked carefully at suffering. The Buddha taught that when pain strikes, it is like being hit by an arrow. But our resistance and lament is a second arrow. And that second arrow is optional. Titiksha is the refusal of the second arrow. The Stoic teacher Epictetus said, "It is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about events." Modern psychology agrees. Cognitive therapy shows that suffering lives in our appraisal of the stimulus, not in the stimulus itself. Acceptance-based therapies show that making room for a sensation instead of fighting it drains its power. Researchers studying happiness found that lottery winners and accident victims both drift back toward their old emotional baseline within months. Arrival and departure measured in the laboratory. Even your neurons practice this verse. They stop firing for a stimulus that does not change. Your own brain treats everything as coming and going. So let me leave you with 3 questions to carry into your day. First, which arrival are you currently treating as a permanent resident? Some worry, some criticism, some ache that you have given a lifetime lease in your mind. What happens if you reclassify it as a guest in transit? Second, of Shankara's 3 failures, complaining, brooding and frantic fixing, which one is your signature move, and with whom does it appear most often? Third, can you remember a pain from years ago that felt unbearable then and has now completely dissolved? If that one came and went, what makes you so sure this one is different? And here is a simple practice. Today, whenever any notable experience arises, the room too warm, an irritating message, a delicious taste, a flash of anxiety, silently stamp its ticket with 3 words: arriving, departing, impermanent. Do not push it away, do not chase it, just stamp the ticket. And once today, hold one small voluntary discomfort without adjusting it. A cold finish to your shower, an itch left unscratched. And as you hold it, remember the root of the word, Tij. This is sharpening me. The experiences of life will keep their full color, but slowly they lose their tyranny. It came, it will go. Tans titikshasva. Endure them and be sharpened. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.
मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्णसुखदुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्यास्तां तितिक्षस्व भारत।